What is going on, my Houston Texans family? Hope you all are having a blessed Monday. The NFL season is right around the corner. We are 15 days away from day one of Houston Texans training camp. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I will be at every single Houston Texans training camp practice that is available to the public. I also applied for some credentials, so wish me some luck there so I can give you guys some never before seen Houston Texans content. What we are going to do these next 15 days is look at this Texans team and talk about some players, how their season went last year, and what we want to see heading into 2025, because this season feels different, guys. Last year, let's put it to bed, it was disappointing. I myself said this was the season I've been waiting my entire life for. And it was everything but that. This season, however, no one is believing this Houston Texans team, and rightfully so. But there are a few believers like myself, and there's one common theme between all of us. This Houston Texans team is an offensive line away from greatness. They're an offensive line away from a Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ruben Calvillo. This is the 713 Houston Sportcast, and I drop daily Houston Texans content. Please make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest Houston Texans news, rumors, and updates. Speaking of the channel, guys, we have a lot of big things planned, a lot of fantastic things coming. We already have a location secured for the Week 1 watch party against the Los Angeles Rams. I can't wait to tell you more on that later. We have a potential beer sponsor. I cannot wait for what's to come. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said in the introduction, the people who believe in this Houston Texans team, they say the same thing over and over. We're an offensive line away. And I felt like I've said that about different Houston Texans teams. I said that when Matt Schaub was the quarterback. I said that when Deshaun Watson was the quarterback. I'm now saying that with CJ Stroud. It's like the offensive line problems have plagued the Houston Texans since their existence. I mean, even this year, this offseason, we all saw PFF rank the Houston Texans offensive line as 32nd in the NFL. This is what they had to say. Houston's offensive line endured a challenging 2024 campaign, but the presence of veteran Laramie Tunsil and Shaq Mason provided some stability. I would disagree. With both players no longer on the roster, the Texans are left with a group of largely untested alignment ahead of the new season. There is very little to suggest that the group isn't deserving of the number 32 spot ranking ahead of the 2025 season, which brings us to our player that we will be taking a look at, Jake Andrews. Now, who is Jake Andrews? Because there still are some Houston Texan fans who don't know who he is. He was picked up towards the end of last year, right before the Houston Texans heading into the playoffs, and no one thought nothing of it, right? We thought it was just going to be another emergency offensive lineman. But then when you see a new offensive line coach in Cole Popovich, and there is some history between him and Jake Andrews. History like when Jake Andrews was back at college, he was playing for Troy. He had one of his best years as a center. You know who was his offensive line coach? Cole Popovich. You know who has been the first center thrown out there in organized team activities and mandatory mini camps? Jake Andrews. There's a story of when the New England Patriots selected Jake Andrews in the later rounds, Cole Popovich had a conversation with them. I came, and this is quoting here, I came from New England. If I was still there, I would draft Jake Andrews. And lo and behold, that's exactly what they did. Didn't quite work out for Jake Andrews and the New England Patriots. Now he's a Houston Texan. Now he's being thrown out there with the first team offensive line during OTAs and during mandatory minicamp. If he's your first center thrown out there in training camp on day one, then you could book it. He right now is your starting center. Now, of course, one thing we know about training camp, one thing we know about the preseason, you can lose your job and you can win your job. But what's crazy is when we were in the offseason where we're talking about whether it's Juice Scruggs, a second-round pick for you a couple of years ago, or Jared Patterson, a late-round pick for you a couple of years ago, both of them played center for you, and that's who we honestly thought the competition was going to be between. Now Jake Andrews enters the mix. You see the history between him and Cole Popovich. It's hard not to think that Jake Andrews is your starting center, and that's fine. What I don't want to see is if Jake Andrews struggles, there is quickly a rotating door. Quickly Jared Patterson comes in. Quickly Juice Scruggs comes in. Let Jake Andrews work, because this is what you should have did during during OTAs and minicamp. And that's not saying that they didn't do that, right? We saw Ariante Ursary come in at right tackle. We saw Jared Patterson come in at center. But when you're making changes like that, you have the mindset, oh, this is the 2. This is the offensive line number 2. I want to see Jake Andrews have a leash out there. There's a lot of unknown about Jake Andrews, but if Cole Popovich, if this is his guy, then it's his guy. But ladies and gentlemen, Jake Andrews is someone that I will be paying attention to at training camp, because he could be your new starting center. And the Texans have had a rotated door at center since Chris Myers. We thought it was going to be Justin Britt. He retired just a year later. And since then, every other year, it's just been who's new at center, who's new at center. The Houston Texans need to get their center. It might be Jake Andrews. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. For more Houston Texans content, you guys know what to do. Feel free and follow me for more. Go Houston. I love you guys. Have a very blessed day. Happy to be back.